we sort of close out the evening, we've got two case studies. And many of you may have gone to case camps and seen overviews of things that are happening in an industry that may lead forward. I'm really excited about these two. First of all, we had Jeff Gomez, who is sort of he is a transmedia guru, in our New York event. And we gave him 10 minutes and he yelled at me for an hour saying, "You only gave me 10 minutes. I'm like, "Sorry, but that's all you had." And he did a great presentation. So the reason why we keep it to 10 minutes is that we want to keep these discussions going afterwards. We want you to come. We try and keep this event small so that people can have a lot of dialogue. We want to know that in 5 years that a deal was done here because people from different areas or different industries got together. So that's our goal. So if you do a deal, I want 10%. No, I'm serious. You're all going to sign it. Let's, how are you doing over there, Siobhan? Need a little bit more time. Okay. I am going to introduce our first cross-media, our first case study, which is Dr. Siobhan O'Flynn. She's a transmedia consultant. She works at Narrative Now, and she's going to talk a bit about how Napster and iTunes have changed the music industry, and how the shift from digital distribution to film and TV is undergoing the same shakeup, which is good. Are you close?
We're getting there.
Nice. Okay. I'm going to ask questions to the audience because I do have some stuff. I asked about mobile. How many people here are using a mobile device only, and like an iPad or an iPhone only, and don't use a PC anymore?
Yep.
Good. One guy. Okay, good. And how many people here have an Xbox at home? Okay, great. And how have people seen the Kinect that's come from Microsoft? Sorry? Kinect? Is it good? You've seen it?
Well, yeah, I've seen all the E3 demos.
You saw the E3 demos, okay. And how many people here go to South by Southwest? Just out of curiosity, great. And are going to E3? E3, not as many. Okay, so one or two. Okay, cool. How are you doing? You okay? Good.
We're good.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siobhan O'Flynn.
Great, thank you. And I'm going to feel Gavin's presence at my back here, so I'm setting my timer. I'd actually like to say it's a real pleasure to be here. We've had some amazing speakers tonight, and I'm feeling like my talk actually answers some questions and problematizes others. So I'd like to note that this title is also deliberately broad, as what we're going to cover applies to a wide range of digital content. And when I was first approached about this talk, I was looking at a range of trans and cross-media projects, and I knew that between then and now more would appear. So my talk today is a bit of a snapshot of some of the key disruptive innovations over the past really few months. And this is the nod back to Napster and iTunes, and where we now have the hindsight to see the way that they've really disrupted the music industry. And it's a snapshot of thinking about what's happening now and how this is going to change how we may move forward. So we know that digital technology and social media are changing the way content is being developed and distributed. And the examples we're going to look at all model specific strategies that have been successful in those projects. So individually, they may not function as templates to duplicate exactly, but taken together, they're good indicators, again, of where we might be going. So in 2008, Peter Broderick defined the new world of distribution through a series of shifts you're probably familiar with in the control of distribution, the share of profits, and increasingly direct access to audiences. In 2009, Thomas May pointed to a new orientation he termed fan-dependent, which is a logical extension of fans remixing content, making fan films that extend existing projects, and now contributing stories directly to the primary projects, and now crowdfunding as well, which we have time, if we have time, we'll come back to. I want to talk first about Purefold, which was an RSA AG8 production, which was in development but which halted in February. To date, it's probably the most ambitious and complex in terms of scope of any that have been attempted. And if you're following Ridley Scott and RSA films, it's clear that almost all of the elements in Purefold are actually being developed in other RSA partnerships or can be seen in other integrated fan-dependent productions. So what Purefold did was, at the sort of the basis, it brings together key partners under a Creative Commons license. RSA was to create the film set in the world of Blade Runner and is solely interested in making the films. Brand partners can place prototypes into these films and gauge audience response. Fan discussion via FeedFriend is monitored to future stories or for future stories based on fan response, and related blogs and sites on key issues of concern to brand partners, for example, hybrid and electric cars for Petrobras, would also be monitored for further development ideas. And under the Creative Commons license, fans can recut Purefold films, which they're already doing. And fans can also then create spin-offs with alternate storylines for existing characters or invent new ones. And so let's think about, the potential of something like Iron Baby, which has just now hit 5 million views on YouTube. Fans could also create new web series or games, meaning that fans can create new stories. And under the Creative Commons license, brand partners could reuse, remix content for ads, and logically could also spin off content into further branded content. And think Ileana Douglas's easy to assemble set in IKEA here. And that might lead to new stories. And what's the value for RSA in all of this? First, all of the new and recut content is available for future RSA films, meaning that any new character, any new storyline that fans actually bond with can be then further developed. What's the value for brands? Brands get to test audience response to prototypes, and they have access to the content, which they can use in advertising or for other sort of, again, branded extensions. And so I asked Tom Hemp, a co-founder of AG8, how do people get paid? Sort of because the traditional block that we're seeing right now is the whole question of digital rights. So the arrangement that was actually being aimed at was that the traditional contract fees and royalties are replaced by a flat fee up front. Second, future pay is based on future contracts and episodes, and those are based on audience response. And in the UK, unions agreed to this Creative Commons model. And this creates a highly complex feedback loop between audiences, content, brands, and RSA films. And the genius is that the development of larger budget content can be based on fan interest. So why didn't the project move forward? Well, under the Creative Commons license, other producers can also create content for profit, which could mean, obviously, a loss of revenue for primary partners. And according to Tom Hemp, this was the stumbling block for RSA. So let's just recap. Fan interest is driving this at all levels, and further, fan loyalty and participation likely increases when individual fans see their storylines developed in future RSA films. And though Purefold did not move forward, we can see a variation of this strategy in RSA's partnership with Philips. And I'm sure you know Parallel Lines, 5 short films by 5 different RSA directors in different genres, but sharing the same 6 lines of dialogue. Now, Parallel Lines is an excellent case study in how to use social media to create and keep an audience. This is a partial sketch of some of the activity of the social media campaign. They have been incredibly busy. I'm pointing out 2 details here from April. On the 13th, after the 5 films were released, fans were asked on the Facebook site, should the gift be a feature, because of the buzz. On 2 days after that, the Tell It Your Way competition was announced with the invitation to submit your short film for the 6th spot. That's still ongoing, by the way. A number of short films in development now have their own websites. You can link to these from the Facebook page for Philips Cinema, from YouTube. Philips Cinema supports these pages by posting questions and inviting comments on these short films. And all of this is, again, a kind of testing for further audience response in terms of what projects to take forward. The social media campaign for the competition continues, as I mentioned. There's going to be a huge amount of buzz when this goes to public vote, and this is going to be happening in August and September. And Ridley Scott on July 7th just launched his Life in a Day, which is being termed an experimental documentary, or sort of fan-generated documentary. And it's, again, inviting anyone around the world to upload, submit their own film made about their life on that day, which happens to be this Saturday for anyone who's a filmmaker and wants to participate. 20 of the selected filmmakers will be invited to join Scott at Cannes. So we can see all of these sort of projects which were really being geared towards fan participation and fan contribution. Conspiracy for Good's Tim Krings is another one. It's an ARG for social change. And I just want to point out here that probably the most crucial aspect of this is that it situates the audience, in fact, or the participant as the hero. You will make a difference now. Think of this as a movie where you are the hero, because it's inviting, again, anyone around the world to submit story ideas or suggestions for social initiatives that might then be picked up. And this has been, we can look to a more recent viral campaign as well, which was the Thank You campaign, which was launched in December of 2009. You upload your photo and then discover that you are being celebrated around the world. In fact, this is incredibly, sort of lovely in terms of the surprise. And if you think about viral for a moment, this particular campaign, I want to pull out one detail here. It had 9.6 million unique movies made worldwide. And again, it's functioning by driving through the sort of the response that we have to seeing ourselves being included, contributing, and participating. And I know that I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to just end with this last little conclusion. If we think about content and the way that it's been talked about as being sticky, viral, and spreadable, content is really now a gift. And to think about content as a gift is to really think about what's exciting in this moment in time is that we're seeing an explosion of creativity and invention in strategies around how to connect people to content through this idea of the gift. And while we don't know what strategies we'll see in the next few years, though some of us may, we may see key principles emerging for designing in a fan-dependent world. And first is the recognition that when we share content, we do so because it has value. It's a gift. I send to you, you send to me, and then out to our networks. Second is that people, fans, your audience, oh, that's going, are increasingly, let me stop that.
Thank you, iPhone.
I know, but I have one more sentence.
Okay.
Are increasingly interested in participating and contributing to financing, story creation, and promotion. And if the project has value, they will become loyal. And there's clearly value for fans in seeing the impact of their actions on the production in the world. And finally, your audience is potentially global. My guess is that the massively successful campaigns and projects we'll see in the next few years will be leveraging all three of these characteristics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siobhan.